Meanwhile, a long-running public inquiry into patients being infected with contaminated blood is hearing its closing statements. Patients were infected with HIV and hepatitis C through contaminated blood products that were imported from the United States during the 70s and the 80s. It's thought that about 2,400 people died as a result, and today marks the end of a series of public hearings into patients being infected with that contaminated blood. The outcome of the inquiry is expected to be published later this year. Well, ahead of the conclusions of the inquiry later this afternoon, the representative for 23 of the victims, Sam Stein, said that they're all right to be angry and to demand compensation.
All of our clients are passionate, unrelenting and angry, but this is a righteous anger, sir. This is the righteous anger of the ignored, the sidelined and the discriminated. We don't apologise for our clients' visceral anger. We don't apologise for their desire for truth and for proper compensation for the damage done to them. Instead, let me be pinpoint clear, they are right to be angry and they are right to demand compensation, right to demand change and right to demand restitution.
Well, joining me now is Michelle Tolley. She was infected with contaminated blood after a transfusion during childbirth. Michelle, really good to have you on the programme. I know you gave evidence nearly 4 years ago. This has obviously affected your life even before you knew it had for decades. How does it feel that this long overdue inquiry is now in its final stages?
To be honest with you, today I feel kind of numb, really. In the 7 years that I've been involved with campaigning and fighting for justice, and it's been a roller coaster of emotions for all of us. Today, I don't know. At the end of today, it might be completely different. There's going to be lots of emotional people around, lots of forged friendships by a historic tragedy. We've been there supporting each other all the way through, including the Hepatitis C Trust, which have been fantastic. I think that Sir Brian Langstaff and his team have been phenomenal. I have every faith in the recommendations that hopefully he will put forward in possibly September. And what I'd like to see is the government to take action immediately before any more people die, although one of us are dying every 4 days. I'm one of those statistics. And we were given death sentences for committing no crimes.
Michelle, just tell our audience, how did you come to discover that you had been infected?
Okay, so I had my first son in 1987 and needed a blood transfusion. We'll go forward to about 1995. Something had come on the television. Maybe it was to do with the AIDS campaign. Sorry. I phoned up and requested some information. The information was go along to your GP. This was in Clacton-on-Sea at this time. I went along to my GP, told him how fatigued I was and that I'd had 2 blood transfusions before the bloods were screened in September 1991. His first reaction was, well, of course you're tired. You've got 4 young children. And the second one, which made me feel an absolute idiot, was, don't be silly. You won't have that, and wouldn't test me for hepatitis C. I was diagnosed by chance in Norfolk at the end of 2015 by a noob GP by chance. So in fact, I'd had hepatitis C raging in my body for 28 years.
And how do you feel knowing that things were known, weren't they? Things were known by people very high up, and these transfusions were still being given?
I'm angry. I'm absolutely furious. They've played with people's lives. They're not God. There was no reason for them to do that to us. You know, it's like mass murder. What can I say? You know, I trusted my professional. I trusted him when he said to me, you won't have that, you know, basically go away. But I did have that. I did have that. Even in my medical notes, there's crossed out entries saying entry deleted, entry deleted. There's little C's that are circled round. Does that mean, did they know? Was it hushed up? Was it quiet? I'm really angry at my GP for not taking that opportunity to test me back in the 90s. Let's say it took a year for me to get my treatments, which I'm grateful for, but I therefore had hepatitis C in my system for 29 years, leaving me with cirrhosis, diabetes, kidney disease and umpteen problems with my gastro area.
And you said something very powerful to me earlier, Michelle. You said that the people that you know who also are victims of this, it's like living with a permanent death sentence and you don't know who might die next.
Well, absolutely. I mean, for me, at age 22, I was given a death sentence for committing no crime. All we was doing was starting out having our family. One of us die every 4 days. Like I say, I'm in one of those statistics. I've got a liver scan coming up. Every time I have one of them, which is twice a year, I'm thinking, is it me? Is liver cancer there yet? I live with that. We have to live with that. I know I'm lucky that I'm still alive now. There's so many. That 500 have died before, during this inquiry alone. And to know that you're one of the statistics is really damning. It's really frightening. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, Michelle, I was going to ask you, what do you want to see as a minimum out of this inquiry?
Okay. What I want is a proper apology. I don't want words that are meaningless. It's got to be a proper, sincere apology. And I also want guarantees that this will never, ever be allowed to happen again. This tragedy is the worst tragedy in the history of the NHS. Lessons must be learned from this. People must be compensated. And when Sir Brian delivers his report in the summer, the government must act upon it immediately, not start turning recommendations away like they've done in Windrush and the Grenfell inquiries. They need to act on it, because at the end of the day, we're the ones that are dying through neglect.
Michelle Tolley, really appreciate you telling your story to us here on Sky News, and we send you all the very best wishes for your health.
Thank you very much. Thank you.